So I've come down the hamlet. I wanted to show you we've got cowslips out, but normally I can see them. They're down there on the bank. Don't really want to go down there on the bank. You see? I think it'd be more open if it were a sunny day, but it isn't a sunny day. It's quite damp. There's another one standing up. It was standing up more than that the other day. So yeah, I think they'd probably do this. They probably hang down in the weather. I'm going to try not to do the whole pause and get all that muddled up. Should be alright because there's no sun shining on this. I could perhaps keep this on anyway. Look at all these dandelions. We were reminiscing this morning about when we lived in North Devon. And we bought a 17th century cottage. And it was gorgeous. It was lovely. It was the first house that we bought together. And the front of it was 17th century, but the back of it I think had been a stable. As you walked up the hallway and into the dining room, the wall on the left was curved. And our neighbours said that it, you know, when they saw it first, there had been, I don't know what they are on the wall. On one of the walls there'd been like is it the remains or the pattern of what had once been a cow byre? I don't think that's the right word. It was a lovely house. And we were really, really chuffed to be there. The walls in the front of the house were really thick. It was very small. It was a, really small cottage. 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, but one of them was a flat roof. Hello. You okay? Out here in the damp? You're wondering who I'm talking to? So it was, so at the back was sort of a bit of a rough 1960s building, sort of really like a shack, I suppose. So one of the bedrooms was a flat roofed room above the kitchen. Now we've got above the dining room, and the kitchen was like, was a galley kitchen, really small. We had to, make sure that we were careful as we walked through if we're trying to walk past each other. And we had intentions to build at the back, rebuild the back, because it really wasn't a good building. It needed knocking down and starting again, really. But we had a lovely outlook there. We looked down over the River Tor. And looked over a place called Taddyport. I still got that on Zoom. I have. So it was very nice. And then we came here. Oh, that's the beginnings of a Mirabel blossom. So we came here to stay with they weren't our friends then, to house swap with a couple who live half an hour from here, 20 minutes from here. And we house swapped and stayed in their house, which was quite similar actually to this house. And it was just so tranquil. It was unbelievably tranquil, and we were there for 2 weeks. It was in August, I think, in summer. It was really hot. it was very French. Of course, back then, you know, we didn't live in France, so it sort of was quite exotic. And I started looking on the internet and knew that Mark had got close to a retirement from the NHS. You can retire at 55. And thought, and had a vague idea of what his lump sum would be, and a vague idea of what a house would be worth. And when we came back with the idea that we would have a look at whether we could afford to retire and move to France. I think what happened when we got back to our cottage in Devon was that we realised how much noisier it was than we had realised. It wasn't. It was, compared to the southeast. I don't think I'm going to be able to get under here to see all these violets down here as well. Compared to the southeast, you can see the Hellebore. I'm not going to go under there because I'll just get soaked. Yeah, so Devon was really peaceful compared to the southeast. But by the time we came back, we noticed that it wasn't as peaceful as we'd imagined. And so we looked at, sent off for figures, sent off for pension projections, and decided that we could afford to move. Right, I'm pausing a minute. So that was in August 2005, and around about Christmas 2005 I put the house on the market on the internet, and then about an hour later told Mark that I'd put the house on the market on the internet. And I can't remember the name of the site. I think it was called Buy My House. And nothing happened. And then after a bit, I got a board from Buy My House and put a board outside. What are you looking at? Look like a mess you are. You've been laying in that straw. Huh? I put a board up, and in April 2006 we got married, and on the Monday morning, the weekend after the wedding, somebody knocked at the door and said, can I come, can I come and look, can I come and have a look around? It was a woman. I wouldn't have opened the door to a man and gone, oh yeah, fine. And I said, yes, of course you can. You'll have to excuse the confetti everywhere, which I think was probably quite a good selling point, really. So she lived up the road. It was a very steep road where we lived. And she'd got 2 boys, and she wanted to come further down the road where she lived. It was more narrow. I can't remember what the other... Oh, that was it. There was potential to extend our property, and she'd got a sum of money because her son had got something wrong with him, and so she'd got a sum of money that she could use to provide better accommodation for him. So she wanted to come further down the road. I don't think she had our view. We had the most amazing view from the garden over the river. There was a bridge that went across, a really old ancient bridge that went across the river, and an old mill house. And so I think she wanted to come down for that as well, for the view. So she came back a couple of times, and she said, can I come back with my dad? Can I come back with I thought he was her boyfriend, but I'm not really sure whether he was. And every time she came, the sun was shining and we were sitting in the garden having coffee. Again, you know, it's a great selling point, isn't it? So, and she, like us, could see through the obstacles, because when we moved in, as I say, it was a 3-bedroom, and 2 of the bedrooms were small because they were in the original front part of the house. There were 7 people living in it, with 7 people's possessions in it, piled in heaps around the house. It took quite a lot of vision to be able to imagine living in it when we viewed it, but the view was what sold it to us. So, well, and it was a really cute cottage. Beautiful front room, beautiful walls. I think I've run out of flowers to show you now. So, she bought it, which was great. We'd not been in it that long, and made quite a decent profit, which wasn't bad really, because the housing market hasn't been great in the UK, on and off. So we made a reasonable profit, and adding in Mark's lump sum, it meant we were able to buy the house we're in now. And actually the house we're in now, which is probably at least 4 times bigger than the Devon cottage, cost about the same that we paid for the Devon cottage 3 years before. So there. So I was talking to Phil earlier on video call, and he said to me, all of your outdoor videos, the sky's always blue, the sun's always shining. So here is one of a wet, well, damp, it has been wet, a damp Sunday afternoon. Still lots of birdsong, and I thought it might make a change from seeing me talking to the camera again. So we have been here at this house, what's 22, since November 2006, and in my head at the moment, whilst I'm walking, I can't work that out. I can't imagine, it's the longest I've lived anywhere actually. I can't imagine living anywhere else. I'd love to let them through, the sheep and the chickens, into this front bit, but they would eat and trash. They'd eat the mixed hedge, they'd eat the bark on the magnolia, they'd eat this honeysuckle, and they'd eat things that they're not meant to eat, despite the fact that there's lots of grass here. We came in the other day and it was really sunny, and I noticed all the daisies, and I now know why I haven't noticed them before, and that's because the daisies don't really make themselves very obvious when there's no sun. But it just felt like they just arrived. There's less of that this year. Normally it pours all over the side of the pond. I think I probably pulled some out because it just gets really overgrown. See the rosemary still flowering. Should have pruned it. Should have pruned the lavender and didn't. I'm not a gardener. Can't see. I can see one fish. It's not that warm out here. I'm not going to feed them. Voila. That's it for today. Have a good evening.